Well, I'm with Alex Townsend up here at Government House. BEM Day for you, sir.
Yes, indeed, Paul.
The computer bus man.
Yes, indeed.
Wow. Before coming to the interview, we just had a quick chat about how long ago the technology existed for what you did. You deny it was dial-up days, but it's pretty close to that sort of stuff, wasn't it? I mean, Yellow Man, whatever, it was really basic.
It was dial-up days in people's houses, but the computer bus was never dial-up. The computer bus was ISDN, or no, ADSL. ADSL, I think, at the time. And then, in about 2002, we became nationally known as being one of the first big users of 3G. And indeed got on BBC 10 o'clock news, no less, using 3G technology provided by Manx Telecom at the time.
So just explaining this to people who have no idea about the reason that you had this computer bus was you went around all the schools because the schools didn't have computers, and you know the ones that did only had a probably limited amounts, didn't they?
Yeah, certainly when the thing started, the number of computers in our primary school were relatively few and far between. And the idea of the computer bus partly came about because we started in the early 90s bringing classes of Year 6 pupils up to the big computer room in St Ninian's High School. And about 96, something like that, 1996, 97, we thought it might be a nice idea to take that sort of experience island-wide, create a mobile computer classroom in one of the single-decker buses that Isle of Man Transport were withdrawing at the time, and the computer bus was born.
And what year was that?
It was September the 11th, 1998.
Right. And of course, eventually, it became. Did it become redundant? I mean, you retired, but did it almost become like there's no point? Everyone's got a computer at home or at school or whatever. I mean, did technology override you?
Yes and no. Interestingly, I would argue that the demand for the computer bus was still there back in March 2020 when it finished, because things had sort of gone full circle, as they often do in education, in that when we started, sort of children access to computers was relatively limited. Then we reached a sort of point, perhaps around 2010, later than that actually, 2015, something like that, where most children had a computer as we know it at home. But from about then onwards, the computers started to disappear in homes because people had touch screen devices. And in many cases, the only place those children would come across a computer, i.e. a thing with a keyboard, a trackpad, a pointer, pull down menus, that kind of thing, was actually in school. And a lot of the last sessions which I did on the computer bus were saying to particularly the younger children, this thing here is another type of computer different to the computer you may be used to, which is all this kind of thing. And it has one of these, and it has one of them, and it has one of those, and when you finish your work you have to save it and give it a name and things like that.
That's interesting.
We used to take that for granted, because they did it all the time, and the teachers used to joke that the children know more about these things than we do, which in many cases may have been the case. But latterly, that wasn't so anymore.
You brought a bit of your history with you. It's the next door room. We've got some copies of that. It's quite well documented what you got up to. I mean, that's great. To see you went down to Earl's Court and all that, I remember.
Yeah, we did. What was it? 1999. We took the bus all the way down. It was still in its first year then. We took the bus down to Earl's Court. We had been trialling a thing which back in 1999 went by the name of Codename Scoop for a big corporation called Oracle. And what it was a sort of weird thing that no one had ever really encountered before, whereby you had a sort of login, you had a sort of home page, you could put things on the home page, you could communicate with other people who had a similar thing, and so on. And we were trialling this outside Douglas Youth Centre at 8 o'clock in the evening so that we could give live feedback to the developers in California. And at the end of the 12 weeks, I think it was, we'd been trialling this thing. They said, well, we'd like you to bring the boys and girls who've been doing this all the way down to London to Earl's Court, and we'll show it off at Tomorrow's World Live. What's interesting, of course, is that Codename Scoop metamorphosed into, technically I think it's Web 2 it's called, i.e. two-way internet, But it's metamorphosed into the social media that we know today. So if you like, it was a sort of Facebook type thing way back in 1999.
Right. Just to wrap this up, how do you feel when you got the news and all that?
I'm very pleased, largely too, I have to say, on behalf of all my colleagues who I work with over this was actually nearly 30 odd years doing IT on the island. And one of the things I hope will happen tonight is that some of these will get to sort of like a reunion, will get to talk to each other, and we can give them a nice big thank you.